Hare Krishna, everyone. Let me start with the prayers. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaः. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Padakam Shri Guru Vaishnavam Shri Rupa Sadhujatam Sagana Raghunatham Vitam Tam Sajivam Advaitam Savadutam Parijana Saitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lita Shri Vishakhantamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vanchakalpatarubhasya Jagata Sindhu Vayevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Krishna Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pujarine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyatya Desha Tarine. Hare Krishna, everyone. Let me share my screen. So today's verse is 3:12:26, third canto, 12th chapter, verse number 26. We'll start reading with the verse and then the translation, synonyms, and purport. Then we'll talk about it. So let me start with the verse. Di kamo dhruvam krodho lobha chadara dachchadat ashyadvak sindhu medran nirti payor agashrayah Hriday kamo brava krodho lobhaschadhara dachyadat asyadvak sindhu medran nirti payor agashrayah. Synonyms: Hriday, from the heart; kama, lust; brava, from the eyebrows; krodha, anger; lobha, greed; cha, also; adhar dachyadat, from between the adhar dachyadat, from between the lips; Ashyat, from the mouth; Vak, speaking; Sindhavat, disease; Medrat, from the penis; Driti, low activities; Payoh, from the anus; Agash Ashraya, reservoir of all vices. Translation: Lust and desire became manifested from the heart of Brahma, anger from between his eyebrows, greed from between his lips, the power of speaking from his mouth, the ocean from his penis, and low and abominable activities from his anus, the source of all sins. The purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, Srila Prabhupada ki. Purport: Conditioned soul is under the influence of mental speculation. However great one may be, in the estimation of mundane education and training, he cannot be free from the influence of psychic activities. Therefore, it is very difficult to give up lust and the desire for low activities until one is in the line of devotional service to the Lord. When one is frustrated in lust and low desires, anger is generated from the mind and expressed from between the eyebrows. Ordinary men are therefore advised to concentrate the mind by focusing on the place between the eyebrows. Whereas the devotees of the Lord are already practiced to place the Supreme Personality of Godhead on the seat of their minds. The theory of becoming desireless is untenable because the mind cannot be made desireless. When it's recommended that one be desireless, it is understood that one should not desire things which are destructive to spiritual values. A devotee of the Lord always has the Lord in his mind, and thus he does not need to be desireless because all his desires are in relationship with the service of the Lord. Power of speaking is called Saraswati, or the goddess of learning, and birthplace of the goddess of learning is the mouth of Brahma. Even if a man is endowed with the favor of the goddess of learning, it is quite possible for his heart to be full of lust and material desire, and his eyebrows to display symptoms of anger. One may be very learned in the mundane estimation, but that does not mean that he is free from all low activities of lust and anger. Good qualifications can be expected only from a pure devotee who is always engaged in the thought of the Lord or in samadhi with faith. So, this was the purport that Srila Prabhupada wrote. Very practical and to the point purport, like all the purports that he has written. Every time you read, you can pick up things that appeal to you at that particular given point of time, depending upon what your mental state is. So, as a preparation to this, I read through a few things. I heard a couple of lectures. So I'll speak about some of those, and if anything good comes out, that is because of my Guru Maharaj. Anything bad that comes out, it's all because of me. So please forgive me in advance. Let me try and so we'll discuss probably how and what we read out of this. So there are many things that are mentioned here. In one of the lectures that I was listening, a lot of emphasis was on the knowledge and focus on getting higher knowledge and higher education. And we have also seen how Prabhupada has spoken about higher knowledge without any influence on our behavior. And he says it's Maya Paridhyana. And you have knowledge, but it's all influenced by Maya. So it's Prabhupada says useless because unless knowledge is towards devotional service, it's of no use. Similarly, so the Prabhu that I was listening in one of the lectures, he was mentioning a very interesting example where he spoke of a very well-read, very well-known professor in some university. I think he was talking about somewhere in Oxford, and he said she was making a presentation, and the presentation was on one of the books that Srila Jiva Goswami wrote. Now, he wrote a lot of books. Many of our, and Prabhu was saying that 90-95% of people who read all these literature, even they did not know about that book that Jiva Goswami wrote and the content of it. Forget about even reading. She was making a presentation on it, and it was a mind-blowing presentation. And the Prabhu, he was completely bowled over. He said, "Wow, what a presentation! How nicely presented! What details and all that." Very learned scholar. So after the presentation, they went out. They were generally sitting on the side, and the lady says, "Okay, um, let's discuss outside." She goes out and she pulls out a cigarette, and she starts smoking. And this Prabhu is like, "Okay, uh, so all this knowledge, all this exhibition, or all this knowledge, which is knowledge is there. It's not that it's not there, but that knowledge is not translating into behavior, um, and that is why uh, the lady she started smoking uh, at that time." And while talking about subject matter on Jiva Goswami's book, uh, so the emphasis was on what should happen. So we all keep doing a lot of activities, all kind of activity, and every activity. I mean, we all, at least I'm talking about myself. We also, I suffer from anger sometimes, frustration. So the way we know how frustration translates to anger and all that. So I'll not go into that process or the theory and how to control. We have read in so many places. When you don't get control and your control is challenged, you feel angry. Or when you try and influence and your influence is not working, you get angry. Um, you try and there are many other ways. In one lecture, Radhesham Prabhu was explaining, the entire lecture was on anger related to this topic. He was explaining how anger happens, how we should, how we should channelize that anger. Prabhupada also spoke a lot about, channelizing anger towards Krishna service, because everything, and unless all the activities, all the actions, everything, our behavior, that starts to change, um, that is the only symptom. That is a symptom that devotional service has started, uh, building into the character. So knowledge, um, or any knowledge, right? It should lead to transformation, and transformation means the transformation in your behavior, in your achar and vichar, your thoughts and your behavior. So unless our behavior changes because of doing all these devotional services and activities, uh, it's not sinking in. It's there, of course, because everyone is, or we are all reading and listening and doing devotee association and everything else, reading Bhagavatam so nicely here with everyone. Unless that starts translating into behavior, which is visible, when we stop getting angry for small things, when we, stop doing Vaishnava prals, stop commenting on, blaspheming others, commenting on others. So behavior has to change. Till we do not, our behavior does not change. Till we do not get out of this habit of, letting our biases make us, take decisions, pass judgments on others. Uh, Sometimes favor some versus not favor others. All these are all the vices that the material life has. And I know we all have been through millions and millions of lifetime. It's all conditioning over period of so many births. It's not going to go very easily. But then the effort should be that while we are all learning and reading and everything, unless it starts to translate into the behavior, um, it means that devotional service is not building up. It's not accumulating. Here, Prabhupada is also saying, um, one may be very learned in the mundane estimation, but that does not mean he's free from all the low activities of lust and anger. So one example, uh, behaviorally, and one problem with knowledge is it kind of develops a lot of pride. We start thinking, oh, I know a lot. Nobody can tell me anything. And that starts to lead to downfall. It leads to a pride, and eventually from pride, uh, somebody does not listen to you or listen to us. We start getting angry with them. We start doing things that we should not be doing, um, because pride, because of our false ego. We, you know, everything, all the verses, everything that we do, uh, that is good when we talk. When it comes to implementation, we forget about all of it, because these things are so powerful. They can overcome all these um, good that we have done over a period of time. One example, I'm sure you would have, all of you would have heard this example of a very learned man and a boatman. So learned man in India, uh, crossing the river, or it can be anywhere. He's crossing the river. He needs a boatman to take him along. So while crossing the river, so he asks the boatman, because he has to talk something, right? The journey is for half an hour, 45 minutes. So just to kill time, he's talking. So he asks, so do you know this? He's trying to show his knowledge. He's a, let's say, nuclear scientist. So do you know about how this thing works? So this person says, the boatman says, no, I don't know. Uh, So the learned person feels very happy, so proud at the same time. That, oh, 25% of your life is waste. The boatman is like, okay. Then moving forward again, the boatman is rowing the boat. This person, or is driving the boat. This person again asks, so do you know how the reaction happens and why is it very important? So much electricity that comes, all this electricity that you see is coming out from all. Boatman says, no, I don't know. He says, oh, then 50% of your life is waste. The boatman is like, okay. And then they continue going, and suddenly the weather changes. It starts raining, and the boat starts sinking. It starts shaking, and the boatman says, "Okay, looks like we don't have any other option. We have to jump and swim." The boatman asks, "Do you know swimming?" So this learning man says, "No, I don't know swimming." The boatman says, "Okay, then your 100% life is gone." And then and then it happens whatever has to happen. Anyway, summary of the story is, power corrupts, knowledge also corrupts, and it goes to our brain and head, and it completely destroys. If the knowledge is purely material, where we are trying to, do great things, get a great job, earn a lot of money, exhibit our, understanding, knowledge in front of others, just to, get that point. Uh, oh, he's such a scholar person, he's such a scholarly person, what a great person, so much knowledge and all. If that is the process, if that is the thought, then it corrupts our brain. But unless it is directed towards the Lord, and the way to check how it is directed towards the Lord is all the actions, everything, even if knowledge, if it's coming, right, it should lead to transformation of heart. And when that transformation happens, the behavior also should change. That is absolutely important. Prabhupada also, it's not that Prabhupada while saying, right, that this material knowledge is useless and It's like croaking of the frog and all that. He also, appreciated his disciples when they, completed some degrees. Somebody completed a master's, and Prabhupada wrote a letter. Fantastic, great to see that you completed this degree. I hope you are able to complete the next degree, PhD also, for the service of Krishna. This is what he wrote. So, activities, knowledge, everything, it should all be focused towards the Lord. Unless this knowledge, this understanding does not lead to transformation of our heart, does not lead to transformation of our behavior, right? It's not going to be of much use. Um, so we also do a lot of things, uh, all the activities we do, and we also try and do everything for Krishna. You're listening to music, you like listening to music, participate into kirtan, so that your activity becomes more spiritual. Um, but it should eventually lead to transformation of our behavior. Um, it should lead to we not thinking too highly about ourselves. There are a lot of examples of people whose behavior was exemplary, even though they were not very educated. Our Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur's Guru Garkishore Babaji, he was not a literate person. He could not write his name. He could not, but he knew everything. And then his IQ, I heard, was exemplary. He had a very sharp brain, though he did not have any knowledge. He did not know reading, writing. So it means that reading, writing, or all this material knowledge is not necessary for a spiritual elevation. Sometimes we look down upon people who are not educated. Oh, this person does not know. We also look down upon people sometimes who are not very wealthy, or sometimes who are struggling to make ends meet. You know. Natural human tendency, material behavior. We should keep it in our mind that we don't know whose journey is what and where they are spiritually. Uh, and that is where that behavior transformation is absolutely important. We have also heard of this story of that Brahman with Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was visiting the south, right? And this Brahman was looking at Bhagavad Gita and he was crying and holding the book in the opposite direction, not even the direction which one could read, because he was an illiterate person, but he was crying. So when Mahaprabhu asked him what happened, why are you crying? He said, I'm crying looking at the cover because the Lord is agreed to become a charioteer to a normal person. I'm just crying looking at it. Which again means devotional service and education, they are not correlated. So even though we are educated for whatever reason, our education should not go to our head, and we should try and use that education for Krishna's service and for transformation of our hearts, our behavior. That is a symptom of bhakti, the creeper of bhakti starting to grow in us. That is the time when it starts happening. Otherwise, we'll keep feeling good about ourselves. Yes, we are doing this, we are doing that, we are following all the principles and everything. But the real test is when the behavior starts to transform. Otherwise, of course, like in chanting, even if we are not doing pure chanting, even if we are doing Navabhas, we are still getting some benefit, but it's not the potential is not fully utilized. You are not getting the real benefit. So looking at the time, 7:55, I would like to open it for any comments or any thoughts anyone has. Otherwise, we'll stop. Okay. So anyone has any thoughts? Can share now.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Thank you for this nice morning class. I had a doubt about we see some people, they may or may not be devotees, but their behavior, their they are kind of very kind and very nice to people and kind-hearted, but they're still not devotees. So are they better, or devotees with a little bit of problems, are they better? Like who? And so I was trying to make sense of it. Like who's better?
So a very good question. I'm sure Gopalari Prabhu is there and he can answer it much better, and a lot of other people who are here can answer it better. I'll just put what I understand. So there are people by their inherent previous lives, they are in that mode of goodness. So their behavior is exemplary. They will do all the things that the devotees should be doing, minus the proper devotional practices. There are those people. And there are people who would be devotees who are doing all these regulative principles, 16 rounds, and all that. And if you notice, some of these devotees would also have had exemplary behavior. Sometimes this pride comes in. Being devotees, because sometimes, and I'm just telling about myself, it happens sometimes, we feel we are superior to others because we are doing 16 rounds, we are following all these regulative principles, we are doing difficult things than others. It tends to bring in that pride, and that is where that tinge of uh, arrogance, I think is the right word, that comes in. But we should immediately try to take that tinge out, because we in devotional services also, what I've noticed and what I've experienced is, we do little bit, and the devotees around us are so kind. They will puff us up. Fantastic! This was very nice. This, that, all that starts going to our head. So that is where some pride and some arrogance comes in, and that is where the behavior starts getting little stronger, which should not be the case, because ultimately our devotional service, if it is actually working on our heart to transform, it should change the behavior. It should become better. But effect of Kali Yuga, it's not easy. So you do once, you take 2 steps, you have to come back 1 step. So I think that is what it is. Anyone else wants to add anything? Okay. So, Lakshmikant Prabhu, I think we'll close the call. 8 o'clock. And thank you everyone for joining. One second. Hare
Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.